Welcome to the Turing test, your daily deep dive spot. Today, we're diving into this chip. It's like a poker card-sized wonder that spits out over 1,000 words a second. Kind of like fuel for AI inference.
Yep, right. And it's not just any chip. It's the Groq LPU, engineered to outpace even NVIDIA's Blackwell GPUs in tokens per second. It's a head-to-head race, isn't it?
Absolutely. Groq's datas show that with their Llama 3 8B model, it streams at 1,345 tokens per second. Even for a 70 billion parameter model, it clocks in at about 394 TPS. Essentially, it's claiming an 11-fold speed advantage over many cloud providers.
And then we have NVIDIA, who aren't exactly twiddling their thumbs either. Last month, their DGX B200 node hit over 1,000 tokens per second on Llama 4 Maverick. So the question naturally arises, does raw tokens per second really define the future here? Especially when big GPU makers are matching those numbers using much heftier hardware?
Right, that's the rub. On one side, you've got Groq going for sheer speed and deterministic latency, and on the other, NVIDIA flexing its muscle as an all-rounder. And speaking of latency, Jonathan Ross from Groq has this term, the latency cliff, essentially saying, once you exceed 500 milliseconds, user engagement falls off dramatically.
Exactly. A response time of 100 milliseconds feels like magic, while 2 seconds is, well, sluggish. But NVIDIA has been pushing their own latency boundaries too, isn't that so?
It sure is. NVIDIA's architecture has been reducing latency too, but there's a nuance here, GPU's versatility. They're not only handling inference, but also tasks like image generation, multimodal models, training, and so on. So here's a compelling debate. Is specialization, like what Groq bets on, a strength that outweighs versatility, or does it become a straitjacket?
Now that's a juicy point. Groq's LPU is essentially a single massive SIMD lane. Every clock tick feeds the next instruction like, cars rolling on a conveyor belt. This deterministic assembly line approach minimizes off-chip memory traffic and reportedly gives an energy efficiency boost of about 10 times compared to GPUs.
Right. Akin to using a surgical scalpel for precise cuts instead of a Swiss Army knife. Deterministic latency is golden for real-time applications, like, say, stock trading bots or even surgical robotics, where jitter isn't an option.
Exactly. But here's where I respectfully challenge that notion. While deterministic latency is appealing, don't you think the flexibility to quickly switch over to a different, maybe larger model is crucial? GPUs, with their memory banks and versatile design, seem to have that corner covered.
You've got a point there. Groq's design is incredibly fast for small to moderate-sized models, but it does top out at around 256 nanobyte on chip. If you try to run something larger than a 70 billion parameter model, you've got a shard across a bunch of LPUs, and that introduces network overhead, potentially eroding that deterministic edge.
Yes, exactly. And speaking of overhead, NVIDIA's GPUs, though less deterministic in a tight assembly line, come backed with robust software ecosystems like CUDA, CUDNN, and the Triton Inference server. That ecosystem is like a fortress for developers.
True, Groq's compiler is lean and elegant, but it's also relatively young. Compare that to NVIDIA, whose tools and developer support have been evolving for years. In the long run, will developers be more inclined to adopt the proven GPU ecosystem rather than a specialized LPU?
Good question. And let's not forget economics. GPUs, though expensive in raw cost, leverage enormous volumes and integrated software layers that might win over enterprise budgets. Groq, however, offers pay-as-you-go pricing at around 5 cents per million input tokens, plus a major claim on energy savings, a 10x boost in tokens per watt.
Right, which brings us to energy efficiency, and that's a sleeper factor. Data centers already consume more than 3% of global electricity, and if every token costs extra energy, then chips like Groq's could have a massive cost advantage if they burn fewer joules.
Yep, exactly. And Groq isn't just talking small improvements. They recently closed a $640 million funding round, focusing specifically on ultra-green build-outs. That's no small feat.
Very true. It's like buying a fuel-efficient car when gas prices are skyrocketing. But again, while energy savings and raw speed matter, will customers and developers care more about that deterministic, energy-saving architecture, or about the flexibility to pivot as new giant models drop each quarter?
That's the million-dollar question. Absolutely. With GPUs, you're essentially getting a tool that works across many functions, almost like a multi-tool that adapts to new challenges. 8-bit FP8 support, mixture of experts, even speculative decoding integrated into TensorRT LLM.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. And even if Groq eventually scales out their cloud regions, as teased for Leap 2025 with 19,000 LPUs promising aggregate throughput of 25 million tokens per second, the fundamental debate remains. Is it better to have a specialized scalpel or a versatile power tool?
Well said. The specialists, like Groq, focus on deterministic, ultra-fast, ultra-efficient inference, which is a huge plus in scenarios like real-time trading or surgical applications where every microsecond counts. But then, you haven't forgotten that GPUs cover a wide spectrum of use cases.
Exactly. And if we rapidly fire some takeaways, speed thrills, and both camps have reached 4-digit token rates. Deterministic latency is Groq's ace card, but the memory limits and network sharding could bring friction. Then there's energy efficiency. Energy per token is an emerging metric of horsepower.
Yeah, And then too, there's architectural elegance versus economic practicality. GPUs come with a well-oiled developer ecosystem that could trump pure silicon performance. It's like the choice between a high-performance sports car and a practical SUV that can handle all terrain.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, will dev mindshare be the ultimate decider? It's reminiscent of Android's rise when Java devs had minimal friction porting apps. If Groq nails one-click Hugging Face integration, as they've already done with Meta's Llama API hitting over 625 TPS, then maybe the scales tip in their favor.
Absolutely. That's a key point. Ecosystem, ease of use, and flexibility might just trump raw performance in the long run. And we also have to consider that in a dynamic market, a toolbox that combines both strengths might well be the best route forward.
Right on. In a way, it's not an either-or scenario. It's about building the right mix, like having both a scalpel and a power tool in the same toolkit. Developers and enterprises will likely pick and choose based on the task at hand, whether that's ultra-low latency in critical applications or the broad functionality provided by GPUs.
Yep. And while we're exploring these nuances, let's note that Groq's emphasis on predictable assembly line timing is fascinating. It's like they've engineered every clock cycle in a near symphonic precision. But that precision is only beneficial if your model fits within those architectural confines.
Absolutely. It's a trade-off. Determinism in timing is a double-edged sword because while it's perfect for real-time applications, it might limit the potential for scaling up to, say, the next giant model that doesn't fit neatly on a single chip.
Exactly. And then there's the economic calculus. GPUs, though heftier in cost per chip, benefit from economies of scale and widespread adoption. Groq's pay-as-you-go pricing, energy savings, and ultra-green initiatives could be a serious lure for CFOs looking to cut costs.
For sure, it really becomes a battle of economics versus architectural aesthetics. Developers might favor NVIDIA for its broad support, while enterprises focused on operational efficiency might lean towards Groq.
Right, yeah. And when you think about it, energy efficiency isn't just a cost saver, it's a major factor in sustainability. Data centers gobble up over 3% of global electricity, so any chip that cuts down on power consumption could have a major environmental impact.
Exactly. It's like comparing fuel efficiency in cars. One may be fast, but if it drinks too much fuel, it's not sustainable in the long run. Groq's 10 times boost in tokens per watt might be a game changer if inference demand keeps doubling every year.
Absolutely. Yet, at the end of the day, the true winner might be the one that wins over the developer community. NVIDIA's ecosystem is a fortress, a mature, broad set of tools that have been battle-tested over time.
That's the million-dollar question. Whether the developer mindshare will lean towards proven versatility or gamble on ultra-specialized performance. It's similar to the Android versus iOS debate in some respects, wouldn't you say?
Yes, indeed. Exactly. And as we wrap up our deep dive, we can sum up our key points. 1. Both Groq and NVIDIA are pushing AI speeds into 4-digit TPS regimes. 2. Groq's specialty in deterministic low-latency performance is crucial for certain applications. 3. Energy efficiency, tokens per watt, is becoming the new currency.
4. A strong developer ecosystem can outweigh even the most elegant hardware designs. And 5. The debate between specialization and versatility is set to shape the future of AI inferencing for the next decade.
Totally. And while GPUs may be the power tools that do it all, LPUs are carving out a niche as the surgical scalpels for ultra-critical applications. In the end, it's a toolbox, and developers will choose what fits best for their specific challenges.
Right, exactly. It's been fascinating unpacking this chip's performance, its energy claims, and the broader debate on hardware specialization. And it ties back really neatly into the discussion about efficiency, cost, and how much value determinism brings.
I mean, who else but engineers would love talking about tokens per second and joules per token, right? It's geeky, but its real-world impact in AI is huge.
Indeed. And as we look to the future, questions about ecosystem support, model scalability, and energy sustainability will only intensify. The conversation is far from over. Tomorrow's deep dive is just around the corner, maybe on whether open weight models can stay open amid billion-dollar training costs.
Yep, exactly. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Hit like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments, good or bad, because every perspective helps shape this evolving debate in AI hardware.